Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chelsea Shammy Calder, and I am your session host today. Up next, we have Allison Swagger from SAS, and she's going to be covering a holistic approach to modern FinCrime, SAS, and fraud, AML, and sanctions screening. So if you could, please help me welcome Allison to the stage.
Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? For the front rowers that don't have headphones, I'm going to talk loudly. So if you can't hear me at any point, just give me a little, and I'll speak up a bit. All right. So thank you, Chelsea, for the introduction. Like she mentioned today, I'm going to be discussing what I like to call a holistic approach to modern FinCrime, SAS and fraud, anti-money laundering, and sanctions screening. So this demo is something that I've worked on over the past several months, and I'm excited to share it with you today. So as I mentioned, my name is Allison Swaggart. I'm our Compliance Product Marketing Manager at SAS. I work on our anti-money laundering and sanctions solutions. I also wanted to give a shout out to my colleague Cameron Taylor. He was the co-builder of this demo with me but couldn't be here to present, so I wanted to make sure he got the credit that he deserved for all of his hard work. So today we're going to be discussing the common platform that this solution has been built on, followed by the 3 solutions that we've integrated: SAS fraud decisioning, SAS anti-money laundering, and SAS real-time watchlist screening. Then we'll spend the bulk of the time in the environment actually seeing the solutions come to life with the demo. So the first thing I wanted to do is touch on some of the challenges that we're seeing in the banking space. Are people's headphones working? Are we good? All right, your pair might be broke. I'm sorry. Between escalating financial crime threats in this era of digital acceleration, that's really opened the door to more complex fraud and money laundering schemes, to fragmented systems and data sources that fail to scale across lines of business. Effectively managing financial crime has become more and more complex year after year. Now, when we add to that an evolving regulatory landscape and inefficient processes, this leaves financial institutions struggling to adapt and really scrambling to stay on track. So this is where we come in. We have deployed SAS fraud decisioning for application, identity, and payments fraud, SAS real-time watchlist screening for watchlist and sanction screening, and SAS anti-money laundering for customer due diligence and transaction monitoring. Now, I'm not going to talk about it at length today, but I wanted to point out that we can also deploy SAS financial crimes analytics onto this same platform for analytic purposes. So what is SAS fraud decisioning? SAS fraud decisioning is a cloud-native, real-time solution for detecting and managing financial crime across fraud, applications, payments, and identity use cases. It includes built-in orchestration to do the heavy lifting of transforming and formatting your data, to manage numerous internal and external data sources with out-of-the-box rule and model-based capabilities, to score transactions and make decisions. Then these outcomes can be processed through the analytical components where patterns and insights will be discovered, and then alerts will be generated and intelligently prioritized. SAS anti-money laundering is an end-to-end solution to detect and prevent complex financial crimes like money laundering and terrorist financing. SAS addresses AML requirements with a fully integrated platform for transaction monitoring, case management, regulatory reporting, and customer due diligence. So from capturing data to filing regulatory reports, it's going to break down your financial crime risk management silos, streamline your AML operations, and help meet your compliance-related requirements. SAS AML allows you to monitor transactions and uncover hidden risks with advanced entity and network generation. And I wanted to point out, not to toot our own horn, but SAS AML is the only vendor that is a leader in both AML platforms and AI and machine learning. Now finally, SAS real-time watchlist screening is a real-time and batch solution for screening both entities and payments. This solution uses advanced fuzzy matching techniques to predict the cultural origin of names across languages and alphabets, enabling culturally aware matching. And our advanced list management integrates seamlessly with your subscribed watch list for as-a-service list management, completely eliminating the need for manual intervention. So let's put all the pieces together. Our source data is going to come in, think your customer or your account data, and then this data can be processed in either batch or in real time. So on the real-time side, the data will be processed through our orchestration layer and then pushed into our real-time detection engine. Now, this is the detection engine that is used by both SAS fraud decisioning and SAS real-time watchlist screening. Then some alerts will be generated and pushed into our short-form alert triage tool. And then any alerts that require a longer-term case or investigation will be pushed into our alert and case management tool. Similarly, on the batch side, the data will be structured to fit our proprietary AML data model and then pushed into our batch detection engine, where AML and customer due diligence alerts will be pushed into the same alert and case management tool. So this is where we'll be spending the bulk of our time today in the demo, investigating alerts and trying to understand why they have been generated from a fraud, anti-money laundering, and sanctions purview. Now, the outcome of these investigations are going to be business decisions, whether that be the filing of a regulatory report, like a suspicious activity report, a payment release, or a payment block, among others. Now, again, we're not going to discuss this at length today, but we can then use financial crime analytics to feed analytic outcomes like enhanced rules and models back into both our batch and real-time detection engines. So now we are going to get into the demo. Okay, so we are starting here in SAS Visual Investigator. Like I mentioned, this is our alert and case management tool. So this has been customized for our investigator. And from an investigator's point of view, we want to understand three things. What are the alerts that have been generated? Why have they been generated? And what tasks do we need to complete to accurately and effectively disposition and manage these alerts? So on this right-hand side, or the left-hand side, we have our strategies that hold our alerts. So this is going to include our high-risk customer due diligence alerts, our fraud alerts, our sanction screening alerts, and our AML transaction monitoring. So we're going to start by opening up our AML transaction monitoring alerts. Here we can see all of the alerts that are associated with our transmon queue, and we can see the score that's been given to these alerts. Now, this score signifies our relative weight or importance. So we're going to start with this alert for Len that has a score of 500. On the first page, we can see some basic information like the customer name, the alert ID, the score, the queue. On the scorecard, we can see the scenarios that are contributing to the generation of this alert. So we have things like ATM usage in multiple states. We have 5 ATM transactions across 2 different states. We have rapid cash or wire deposits followed by a large withdrawal, and then foreign wire activity. We can see that we have 7 foreign wires. Now, if we go to our alert activity tab, we can see the same scenarios that we just saw, but if we click on foreign wire activity, we can actually see those 7 transactions that contributed to this scenario being fired. So we can see we have 7 high-value international wire transfers. Now, that's concerning to us, and we want to make a mental note of this so we can try to understand the bigger picture of what's occurring within this case and alert. So we're going to go to our customer details to try to investigate who is the customer that is sending these transactions. So our customer name is Len. We can see his phone number and email address. His marital status is single, and he is a politically exposed person. On our address tab, we can see the 4 addresses that are tied to Len. So we have 3 street addresses and 1 mailing address. We also have an interactive map that we can use to explore those addresses. We're going to pop over to the Related Items tab. So the Related Items tab is going to show us any entities that are directly related to our customer Len. So we can see we have 1 account. Len is the primary owner of this account. This means that this is the account that was used to send those transactions. We have the 4 addresses that we saw before, his 3 street addresses and 1 mailing address. And we have 3 alerts. So we have an AML transaction monitoring alert. We have a CDD customer due diligence high-risk customer alert. And we have a fraud alert. So now what we're going to do is try to use our network analytics and use entity resolution to paint a picture of what's happening on this network with these alerts and try to understand better why these alerts have been generated. Now, the purpose of a network is to discover hidden insights and patterns. So as we expand this network, this is going to grow as our data grows. So with every level that we expand, we'll uncover more hidden relationships and have a better, fuller picture of our entities. So we're going to start by selecting our nodes and expanding our links by 1 level. Now, when we do this, we can see all of the entities that are immediately associated with our customer Len. So for example, here's our customer Len. Here's the original alert that we opened. We have his 4 addresses. We have the device that Len has been using to send transactions. We have the account that we know Len is the primary owner of. And then we have our 3 alerts, our fraud alert, our CDD alert, and our AML alert. Now, the AML alert is the one that we already started with that we have open right now. We haven't looked at our CDD or fraud alert, so we'll click on our CDD one and open this up. When we go to our scorecard, we can again see the reasons why this alert has been fired or why this alert has been generated. So we can see that Len is indeed a high-risk customer, and he actually is a PEP, or a politically exposed person. Now, we knew that from his customer details. For our use case, this is not reason enough for us to block this account and transaction. For some it is. For our use case, we're okay with this, but we want to understand a bigger picture of what's going on because we have more alerts that have been generated. So we'll close out of this, and we'll come and open up our fraud alert. Now, when we open up our fraud alert, we come to our scorecard, and we can see several scenarios again. So we have multiple device users. We have 3 users that have been linked to a single device. We also have a concern over a mule account. So the customer has transacted with 3 distinct third parties with a total amount of $27,000. What we want to do is come back to our network so we can try to look at the device and see who else is using this device, and then look at our transactions and figure out what are the transactions that are causing us to have this concern over a mule account. So we'll come back to our network. We can see our device here, and we can see some basic information about the device. So we can see the model of the device. It's an iPhone. We can see the browser that's being used, the latitude and longitude associated with that device. But if we remember, the scenario referred specifically to the device being shared across multiple users. So we can select our device, and we're going to expand our links by 1 level. And now we can see the users who are also using this device. So the device is owned by Len, but a Michael and a Mike Jakimick are also using that device. Not only are they accessing his device, but they are also co-owners of this account. They have access to this account. Now, that's concerning to us because we have this fraud alert over the multiple users on the same device and a mule account. So what we want to investigate now is the actual transactions that are being moved in and out of this account. So we'll change this to show social and transaction links, and then we'll expand our transaction links 1 level. Now, every single blue line that we're seeing here is a transaction. This is money movement. We have money moving from account to account, money moving from account to account. So we'll show our transaction details, and we can look at some of these individual transactions. So this transaction to Christoph was $5,980. That's fine. This transaction to John was $10,000, a little bit bigger. This transaction to Dragon is $150,000. That's sending us a big red flag. So what we want to do is expand and try to understand who is the owner of this Dragon account and what other transactions or potential alerts are associated with this account. So we'll once again expand our links by 1 level. We can see we have an address, and this address is located in Tehran, Iran. And then we have a customer associated with this account. Let's expand our links on this customer. And now when we do this, we see that we actually have an RWS, or a real-time watch list screening sanctions alert. These 3 icons are potential sanctions matches and violations against this sanction. So we're going to open up our sanctions alert and try to see what are our matches and what are the details about this account owner. So what has happened is the name Dragon has been screened against our sanctions lists. When we screened the name Dragon, we came back with 3 potential matches. Those matches were Dragon Trading Limited, Shine Dragon Group Limited, and Darken, which is an alias. Now we're going to start with this top match, and we can see that the screen name was Dragon, the match name was Dragon Trading Limited, and this matched on both the name and the country and has a score of 100. That indicates a perfect match. So we'll look at this. We can see this was screened against the OFAC list. It violated a Category 1 Iranian sanction. We can see some aliases associated with this name, including Shine Dragon Group, which is one of our other matches. We can see the addresses associated with this account and customer. We have addresses in both Iran and the Marshall Islands, and we have a note that says that our Iranian address is linked to Persian Gulf Petrochemical Company. Now, when we come down, we have a consolidated network view, and then we can see some notes about this sanction violation. So this says, today, OFAC sanctioned 39 entities constituting a significant shadow banking network, one of several multi-jurisdictional illicit finance systems that grant sanctioned Iranian entities, such as Persian Gulf Petrochemical Company, access to the international financial system and obfuscates their trade with foreign customers. Now, this is the key piece here. Iran cultivates complex sanctions evasion networks where foreign buyers, exchange houses, and dozens of front companies cooperatively help sanctioned Iranian companies continue to trade. So not only is Dragon Trading Limited sanctioned, but we believe that Dragon Trading Limited is using Len's account, and Len is sending money to Dragon Trading Limited to further obfuscate their trade and linkage to Persian Gulf Petrochemical Company, a sanctioned Iranian entity. Now, in a real instance, we would need to file a regulatory report on this, but before we do that, we're going to look at our other matches. So our match for Shine Dragon Group Limited matched on the name only, and this is a score of 84, indicating a less confident match. We have addresses tied to in both Hong Kong and the Marshall Islands, and we can see the same note again that this address has been linked to Persian Gulf Petrochemical Company. And when we come down to our notes once more, we have a lot of notes on this entity, but we can eventually see the same note about the shadow banking network tied to Persian Gulf Petrochemical Company. Now, our last match was tied to Darkin, which we see as an alias. Now, we can actually see that Darkin is an individual, not a business, because we have identifiers like a passport number and a date of birth. When we look at our aliases, we can see that Darkin's name is actually Vladimir Vladimirovich Ananev, but his nickname is Darkon. Now, because of the similarity in spelling between Darkon and Dragon, this has been flagged as a potential match. Now, in your use case, you can manually raise or lower the thresholds to have more strict or more lenient matching conditions. For this, we've manually lowered them so that we can show the example of both a true positive and a false positive match. And when we come down to our notes, we can see that yes, while Vladimir Vladimirovich is indeed a sanctioned individual, he's tied to a cybercrime ecosystem called Z Servers that is unrelated to our shadow banking network. So what we could do is disposition and resolve this individual match as a false positive with a similar name, and resolve our matches for Dragon Trading Limited and Shine Dragon Group as a true positive or a true match. So we feel confident that Len Jakimic is sending money through a mule account, the mule account being any account used to send or receive illicit funds, is sending money through a mule account to Dragon Trading Limited as a part of a significant shadow banking network to further obfuscate their trade and linkage to Persian Gulf Petrochemical Company. Now, this is going to really emphasize the need for an integrated financial crime platform, because have we not been sharing platforms, have we not been sharing investigations or data across the life cycle, then we would have missed the connection between a simple fraud alert on a shared device and its linkage to a significant shadow banking network funding sanctioned Iranian entities. Now, just to recap, what we've done is we've deployed SAS fraud decisioning for fraud detection, SAS real-time watchlist screening for sanctions and watchlist monitoring, and SAS anti-money laundering for AML and customer due diligence onto a single platform. And when we've done this, we've been able to break down some of these barriers and silos that are existing within siloed ecosystems in financial crime platforms, and are able to have a better, fuller picture with a 360-degree view of our customer investigations. If you have any questions, I will be about 10 feet away for the next 2 hours at the financial crime booth. Hopefully you won't miss me in the bright orange suit, but thank you all for joining. I'm glad to share this with you today, and hopefully see you soon.